All right, boys, let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. So if you stumbled across this video, I'm going to teach you how to predictably scale to 10K per month as a freelance videographer. When I was starting off, there were so many systems that I tried and nothing was really working. Nothing was predictable or scalable. So in this video, I want to show you step by step how I actually get clients predictably. This isn't just, doing some weird cold outreach strategy. This is a predictable system that guarantees results. So if you have an attention span, let's jump right into it. So first of all, this is not for you if you're doing less than $2,000 per month. The reason behind that is because it takes some capital to invest into this strategy, right? It requires ads, right? Some money to put into ads. So if you're doing less than 2K per month, it's not really a strategy for you at this time. Really, you need to go build up some capital and then come back and watch this video. I've got other videos for you, by the way, if you're doing under 2K per month, so feel free to go watch those. But if you are doing 2K per month, this is for you. Next, if you don't have an attention span, like I already mentioned, this is a training. This is not just another flashy video, right? If you want to go watch those, go watch, something else and not this. And then also, if you're willing to take action, you might have an attention span, but if you watch all the way through this and then you go watch another video and you don't take action, you won't get anything from this. So I want you to take action. So like I said, this is for you if you're doing over 2K per month, you have an attention span, and you're going to take action. Like I said, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to get you to like, subscribe, or, comment or whatever. I'm literally just trying to provide value. I don't care about the views. I'm trying to get you results. Got it? So with that taken care of, let's jump right into it. So there's three methods of getting clients, really. There's word of mouth / referrals, which if you were, getting up to that 2K per month mark, it was probably mostly that. It was probably mostly word of mouth and referrals. Next is cold outreach, which a lot of the big gurus are teaching. We'll get into that in a second. And then there's a personal brand / ads. So let's break down which one is best. So first off, with word of mouth, there are some pros to it. First off, you can get technically free clients. You're not doing all this work for cold outreach. You're not spending money on ads. It's mostly free, right? Your friends tell their friends who knows someone who needs a video, right? Pretty simple. You get free clients. There's already a level of trust because really when you're trying to sell something, if they trust you, it'll be a lot easier to sell them. So when you have that level of trust, as in like, a friend who, you're already friends with someone who knows someone, well, there's that connection point, and that just makes it easier. So there's already a level of trust, and like I mentioned, there's no acquisition cost. It doesn't really cost you anything to get clients. That being said, the downside is it's not predictable or scalable. So you can't really scale this. Like you'll get a few clients occasionally from friends who tell their friends about your service, but it's really not like you can scale it if you actually want to hit these bigger numbers. So that's a downside, and it also really doesn't build up anything long term. Okay, I'll get to that in a second, more on like what I mean by that. So as far as cold outreach, you can see there's a few pros and a lot of cons, so we'll jump right into it. So the pros are you can target very specific people / brands. So let's say you want to work with a very particular brand. Not saying you'll even work with them, but if you want to target someone specifically, I guess that can be a pro. It is somewhat scalable. They say it's a numbers game. So if you do 500 outreach a day, sure, you might get a client or two here and there, but it's really not. Yeah, it's not that scalable. I'll get to that in a second, right? You also don't need a brain. So that's probably the biggest upside to it. There's all these 15-year-olds, people just trying to start an agency doing cold outreach who really don't have a brain. They just want to make some extra money. If you're just here to make some extra money, I don't even want you to watch this because there's other ways to make money, right? This requires, I think you should have some sort of thinking capacity or ability. If you're just, doing cold outreach all the time, I almost feel like it's slaves work. It's just like, it doesn't take any brain power. You're just doing the same thing over and over again every single day, just trying to get clients. But that's a pro, I guess. You don't need a brain. Okay. So the cons, I've already started talking about those, but first of all, it doesn't really build up any trust beforehand. Think of how many times you've gotten called by, a scammer, or you've gotten these weird Instagram DMs. Well, that's how the businesses feel. Even if you try to personalize it, they don't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you. So it really does not build up any trust beforehand. Okay. It's also very saturated. Like I was mentioning with all these, 15-year-olds trying to start up an agency, every business is being hit not only with cold outreach from all these other videographers, but cold outreach from copywriters, cold outreach from website designers. Like all these people who have services to offer are doing cold outreach to these brands. So it's very saturated. It may have worked back in like up until 2017 when it wasn't so saturated, but it gained a lot of popularity, and now kind of everyone is doing it. So it's very, very saturated and hard to get clients this way. It also doesn't build up anything long term. So I was mentioning that earlier. What does that actually mean? Well, it doesn't build up anything long term, as in, let's say you completely stop doing cold outreach. Well, that would be the lifeblood of your business. So if you stop doing cold outreach, you've got nothing to fall back on. Versus a personal brand, you're building up an audience, and I'll get to that in a minute. You're building up an audience, you're building up an email list, you're building up a YouTube channel. There's a lot of long-term building that you're doing instead of just doing cold outreach mindlessly. Because, like I said, if you stop doing cold outreach, you might still have a client or two, but then once those die off, you've got basically nothing. Even if you've spent like 10 years running this agency, as soon as you stop, you've almost got nothing. So it really doesn't build up anything long term. It also requires a ton of time or a team. So I've done both of those. When I was doing cold outreach, it took me all day to send all this outreach, and it was personalized outreach, by the way. I wasn't just blasting out hundreds of random DMs, right? It was personalized, but it took time, which meant I ran out of time, so I had to hire a virtual assistant from the Philippines, and that meant I had to manage a team. So yeah, it requires a lot of time and or managing a team, which also requires money at the end of the day because you have to pay them. So yeah, the exception isn't the rule. Like cold outreach can work. I'm not disagreeing with that, but it's kind of like trying to cut down a tree with a chainsaw or with a butter knife. And if you had access to a chainsaw, right, you just wouldn't do it because there's better ways to get clients. It's the exact same there. Okay, so the last one is a personal brand. So some pros here are it's scalable and it's predictable, as in you can spend a certain amount on ads and get a certain amount of clients out from it, right? That's a predictable system. It also doesn't require a lot of hours of manual labor. Like I said earlier, I personally think cold outreach is just slaves work, modern day slaves work. You're literally just sitting at your computer, blasting out all these DMs, desperately trying to get a client, begging for someone to work with you, even though they're sick of being hit with all this outreach. So it requires a lot of hours of, well, personal brand doesn't require a lot of hours. Cold outreach does, right? It also builds up trust beforehand. So ideally with a personal brand, with a personal brand, you've already built up trust beforehand. As in, ideally when you get them on a call, they should have watched 7 hours of your content, right? At that point, they already know, like, and trust you. So when you get them on a sales call, it's so much easier to actually, close them as a client because they already know, like, and trust you because they've watched all your content. So I'll get to that in a minute, but it really builds up trust beforehand. I'd say that's one of the biggest pros for a personal brand. It just makes the sales so much easier, right? It also builds up something long-term. Like I was mentioning, you'll be building up a YouTube channel. You'll be building up an Instagram following, an email list. There's lots of things that, compound over time. So you're building up something that lasts. Some cons though, it does require some capital to get into. That's what I was mentioning at the beginning. So if you're literally just trying to make a quick buck, you don't have any money, this might not be a good strategy for you at the time. It also takes a bit more brain power. Okay, so this is something that, I personally enjoy the challenge of like building new funnels, creating content, all that stuff. It's a lot more, it takes more brain power, it takes more thought, but at the end of the day, the people I want to, speak to should already enjoy that. If you want to be like a mindless monkey sending out all this stupid cold outreach, fine, go do that. But if you have a little bit of brain power, yeah, I'd recommend a personal brand. Right, it does take some more brain power. I honestly don't even know. I don't see that as a con. I see that as a pro. It just pushes all the mindless monkeys out of the way. Right. So in summary, word of mouth is good for under 1 to 2K. Right. You can get your first couple clients from there. If you can charge them 1 to 2K per client, you can make a little bit of capital so you can invest into a personal brand. So it's good for like under 1 to 2K, but like I said, it's not predictable. It's not really scalable. So that's kind of like your best way to build up a little bit of capital to put into ads over here. Cold outreach, I'd say it's just a big fat X. I would not recommend that to anyone. The people who say, oh, I'm just going to do some cold outreach until I get a client and then I'll invest into ads, I would actually recommend you go work a 9 to 5, build up some capital, and then you come back and invest into a personal brand, right? It's actually a faster way to build up capital, in my opinion. Cold outreach, I spent 8 months straight doing it, and I got no clients from it. And this was personalized outreach. I was sending looms like this, and it still didn't get me anything. So I would not recommend it. And like I said, the exception isn't the rule. I know people who have gotten clients from cold outreach, but it's just not the best system that actually works. It just isn't as effective as it could be. Okay. So that being said, if you're still under 2K per month, I do think it'll be good to document your journey. So, start building a personal brand just organically, right? Without paid ads. This is not predictable though. Okay. So that probably won't make too much sense since I haven't really explained how the strategy works. So let's first talk about the VSL funnel. So there's really two funnels. The VSL funnel requires more capital up front versus the Instagram funnel requires less capital. It's going to be cheaper to get clients with the Instagram funnel. That being said, it is harder to get clients with this one. So I'll break down both of them, explain why they're good and why they're bad. So let's start with the VSL funnel. So VSL stands for Video Sales Letter. So basically, if you've seen a VSL, I'm sure you've seen one before. You click on a link, and it's basically a page with like a video, and like maybe some testimonials under it or something. Like you've probably seen those before, right? That's called a VSL. So basically, I'm gonna explain this VSL funnel. So you're gonna start off with an ad. This is how you're gonna get traffic. This is how you're gonna get eyeballs. How you're gonna reach your ideal clients. So you're gonna pay to put your ad in front of your ideal clients. That's gonna give you traffic. Okay. From the ad, you're going to send them to a lead form. So a lead form is basically, a form that you have to check yes or no. This is basically going to qualify them. So from the ad, which captures their attention, they're going to click on a lead form. The lead form is just going to say, are you my ideal client? Obviously, you won't say that, but basically, whatever your ideal client is, you're going to make sure that's actually them. So are you this? Okay. When you do that, it's either going to be yes or no. If it's yes, then you'll send them to a VSL. If it's no, it'll just take them off the page. You don't want them. So that's basically going to qualify them. This is basically the process of taking a random person and making sure they're actually an ideal client, someone you can actually work with, your ideal client. So this is going to qualify them and make sure that it is someone that you're able to work with. After they've gone through the lead form, that's going to send them to a VSL, a video sales letter. That's basically going to explain the system. So it's going to be a short, 10 to 12 minute long video kind of explaining how videography can help them achieve their goals and why it's a good move for them at the time. So that's basically going to sell them on the system. You're going to explain the system and tell them why it's unique and why it's different. I can help with that if you have questions. Obviously, I can't go too far in depth on this. Each one of these could be its own video, right? But basically, the VSL is just going to explain the system. From the VSL, you're going to send them to Calendly, which is basically the booking software. That's going to get them booked in, and also it's the second qualification. So like I said here, you've qualified them by saying like, are you a e-commerce brand doing over $500,000 a year, something like that. If they check yes, they've qualified themselves, right? Then in the VSL, technically you can also qualify them. You could be like, all right, e-commerce brand owners doing over $500,000 a year. Here's how you can achieve goal with video marketing, right? Something like that. So you've technically qualified them a second time here, and then a third qualification from Calendly. So when they go to book a call with you, you'll be like, just to confirm, are you a, ideal client, right? Basically, whoever you're trying to work with, you want to confirm that that's actually them. The process of doing this by qualifying them here, and here, at that point, they've qualified themselves 3 times. So by the time you get a booked call, you should be talking to your ideal clients. So from Calendly, you're going to push them to YouTube, and that's where you're going to build up that 7 hours of watch time. You're going to actually build up trust with them. Because here's the deal. If you leave out this part, if you leave out the YouTube part, they've only watched 12 minutes of your content. They don't really know who you are. They don't have a reason to trust you. So it's going to be a lot harder to sell them. So this works really well because you can put money into an ad and basically get a qualified booked call, right? Your ideal client is going to be booked in on your calendar. But this final step is huge. They're going to go binge watch, ideally at least 7 hours of your content, right? So that's where you'll be creating content on YouTube similar to this, and you're basically just going to build up trust with them, explain your systems, explain how things work, and explain basically why video marketing would be good for your ideal client. Ideally, even better, you'd create content around a specific niche. That way, it's really talking to exactly who they are, and it's really gonna resonate with them. So that's YouTube. That's really important. That's gonna build up trust with them. And at that point, you have just spent money to get a qualified booked call, and you've built up trust with them. So then when you take the call, you know they have the budget, you know they're your ideal client, and they already know, like, and trust you since they've watched your YouTube content. So it's a very ingenious strategy. It works really well. So this is going to be a great one. The only downside is it takes some more capital. You'd be spending like $200 to $300 a day. But that being said, you can book like 2 calls from that within a day. So that really, if you can just close one of those calls at, even 2, 3K, you'd still be making a good profit on that. And you can sign them on retainer so you get monthly recurring revenue. So this is a great system as long as you have some capital to put into it. Next is the Instagram funnel. So like I mentioned, the Instagram funnel is a little bit cheaper to get into. I don't recommend you do it organically. You really should be running paid ads, but here's kind of how it works. So the ad is basically going to get eyeballs to your content, right? That's basically all ads are. You're just paying to reach, traffic, right? You're trying to reach new people. So you're going to run an ad to your middle of funnel, MOF. That stands for middle of funnel. Okay. Your middle of funnel is basically going to be your content, which is basically warming them up and building up trust with them. So ad is going to go to your middle of funnel. In this case, it's going to be Instagram. So you're going to basically run Instagram profile visit ads to your ideal clients. So basically your ideal clients are going to be visiting your profile, and on your profile, you're going to have very specific content, which is going to resonate with them. With whatever your niche is. I don't know if you're working with, if you're doing weddings, if you're doing real estate, e-commerce, whatever niche you choose, you're going to create content around that specific niche. And this isn't just behind the scenes. This isn't, just posting your work. It's a lot more advanced than that. And I can get into that in another video on how to create middle of funnel content. Basically, you're going to run an ad to your middle of funnel, and you're going to send them to your DMs. So people who follow you or people who comment on a call to action, basically like comment the word start and I'll send you a free package or a free guide or something. That's going to be who you reach out to, and you're going to start conversations with these people, right? So you're going to go from the ad to your profile to your DMs. From the DMs, you're either going to book them in on a call and talk with them and then send them to YouTube, or from your DMs, you'll send them to YouTube, they'll binge watch your content, and then they'll go back and book a call. Either one works. You really just have to book a call, and you have to warm them up with your YouTube content. I can't stress this enough. You have to build up that watch time. Otherwise, if they don't know you, they don't know who you are, it's going to be a lot harder to sell them. So you really want to build up trust with them. In full transparency, that's exactly what I'm doing here. And it works. There's a reason it works. And would you rather someone sell to you by providing free value? You get to know them, you get to trust them, they're completely transparent with you. Or would you rather me, DM you on my phone and like, hi, my name's Knox, I want to work with you? Like, no, this works so much better, and it builds up trust with people beforehand, right? At this point, they've watched lots of your content. So this is a good breakdown of it. So you got traffic from your Instagram Reels. They could either click the link in your bio, which would be, your YouTube channel. They'd book a call from YouTube and you make a sale. That doesn't usually happen. Usually it goes more something like this. You run traffic, you get a comment, like a call to action, like comment the word package or something. From there, you push them to your DMs, or you also DM your new followers. Either one, they're still going to go to your DMs. From the DMs, you can send them, basically have a conversation, book a call with them, make a sale. Usually you'd actually book a call, send them to YouTube, and then make a sale. Or you can send them to your DMs, to YouTube. Back from YouTube, they'll go to your DMs, book a call. Or sometimes from YouTube, they'll click a link to book a call, and you'll make a sale. right? Hopefully that makes sense. That's the nice thing about funnels is you can really mess around, and like there's lots of different ways to sell people. But ideally, like the general principles is you have to have traffic, people have to know about you, you have to warm them up by building up trust, and obviously you just have to book calls and have conversations with people. So it's not that hard, but like I said earlier, if you're just a mindless monkey, you don't know what you're doing, you just don't want to think, this is not the strategy for you. I actually like I enjoy this because like you can get creative with it. You can test different funnels, you can, create different content versus just mindlessly sending cold outreach. That's why I enjoy this, and it's so much more predictable. You can spend $300 on an ad and get, a 5K per month retainer every single month. So I see that as a very good return on investment. So these are the two different funnels. The ads on this are going to be cheaper since you're really doing a lot of the work in the DMs. The people going in here are going to be more expensive, that being to get as a client, but it takes a lot less work. You're not, having all these conversations in the DMs. This is a lot more automated versus here, a lot of the work comes from sending out DMs. It takes a lot of effort takes a lot of time to DM all these people. So this also works. The VSL funnel works a lot better for B2B, which is business to business, versus B2C. So let's say you're working with personal brands, creating or editing their content. Well, the Instagram funnel might be a lot better for that. This works better for B2C, business to consumer. But more for B2B, which a lot of you are going to be working with, the VSL funnel works a lot better. So if you don't have the capital to put into this, like I said, I recommend there's other strategies out there. But yeah, at this point, you should already be making at least $2K per month. If you are, I would at least start investing into this. You could technically start with like 150 to 200 a day on this one. It's just going to be slower. So that's basically the system. Like I said, I could really go a lot more in depth on this, but I just want to give you an overview of how this works. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and hopefully this was valuable. I think I covered it mostly, but yeah, like I said, if you have questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.